Hello, and welcome to the Fandom Show, the podcast where we learn about fantastic fandoms by talking to our favorites about their favorites. I'm Kaya Green.
And I'm Stephanie Malik.
And today we're talking about the news, but fun. It's political satire. As fun as the news ever gets.
The only time it is fun.
I feel like we lost at least 20% of our audience when I said the news.
You almost lost me, and I know what's happening.
And you're here in the room. You have to drive me home.
It was
later.
just too real, and I couldn't look at it directly.
Yes. No, political satire is what we're talking about today. Very excited about this. Steph, what do you know about political satire?
Oh my gosh. It's such an interesting fandom to be like, what do you know about this? I mean, I know that there are publications that are primarily focused on political satire.
Yep.
In Canada, we have the Beaverton. In the States, there's, I know for sure, the Onion. I don't really know any others beyond that because politics is so scary. It's so scary. And it's hard enough to just take in normal information about the world. And political satire is a very important thing. I think it's so important, especially right now, to be able to make fun of how many stupid people in positions of power exist.
Hell
but
yeah.
Also, I can only look at it so long before I'm like, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, I'm tired.
I'm tired
and I'm afraid. Mom, pick me up.
Mom, pick me up. I'm scared. So I don't know a lot about it, especially as a fandom. I'm super stoked about this. What do you know about political satire?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of the same. I grew up watching it. This Hour is 22 Minutes was on in my house constantly. I'm from a liberal family that loves watching political commentary.
Yeah.
So I definitely grew up with it, but I think I started to like it more when I was an adult who actually had political opinions.
Yeah.
And then got into the comedy world and appreciated how difficult that line is to walk to be both informative and funny.
Yes.
And so it's interesting because I think you don't think of it as a big fandom, but the people who love political comedy and satire really love it. And I think more of us are fans of it than we even know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we probably all engage with a lot of political satire in our day-to-day lives without even sitting there and going, I'm looking at a satire article without focusing on it. You're absolutely seeing it on the internet for sure.
Totally. And there's going to be those people that are hardcore following everything and watching every late night and all of that stuff. But late
night is political satire.
Yeah, we watch it every week.
Kaya, do I know anything about anything?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, yes, you do.
But that is the thing that I don't. When I hear political satire as a topic, I don't necessarily connect the two, but it makes so much sense that it is.
Yeah, totally what it is. That's what most late nights are, right?
Damn.
But not
They're
all
good.
of them, of course, as interviews and all of that other stuff. Anyway.
They got me.
But yeah, often people wouldn't say, I'm a fan of political satire, but they consume it all day long.
Look, I've already been rocked, and we haven't even talked to our guest yet about this.
I know, right? Speaking of guests, do we have one of those?
Oh, Kaya, I don't know. Do we?
I don't know. Do we?
I don't know. Check your paper.
This is usually
and
when
also
you
to
come
your
in.
right. I know, but I'm shaking it up today, Kaya.
Wow, this is huge.
Kaya, who's our guest today?
Our guest is Clare Blackwood.
Do
you want to read her?
No, man.
Are you making me do it too?
I was trying.
We have a rhythm,
and you broke down under the pressure. We have an incredible guest today, Clare Blackwood, who's a Toronto-based actor, writer, and comedian. She's a writer for a Canadian satire website, The Beaverton, and on the podcast on this network.
Oh, yeah.
Not on this network, but recorded in our studios. And her work has been featured on CBC Comedy, McSweeney's Internet Tendency, and all those BuzzFeed Twitter roundups that you get sent on Instagram. Truly, she's in all of them.
All of them.
She's in all of them.
Yep.
She loves yelling at politicians on the internet.
And she's good at it.
She's good at it and hopes that they love it too. Clare, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. It's stolen straight from your
I was
internet.
going to say, it's almost like I wrote it for myself.
You did write it for yourself.
Also, I really, when you were about to introduce, you were like, check your something, and I was like, I expected you to be like, check your pockets. She's in there.
She's a tiny
really
little
excited for a second.
Oh my God!
Am I doing
You were
Claire's
excited about it. Just pull out a tiny figure of you.
Check your pockets.
Yeah.
I love that.
You got a
Kaya
baseball
went.
card with you on it.
I went to Little Canada. Somehow got you printed there, and then brought you here.
That'd be crazy for a non-visual medium.
That would be terrible for my ego, guys.
Would also be-
We don't need that.
How would that have happened without your consent? That's my concern. What did you put on a mask?
There's a lot of questions behind this thing that never happened.
Clare, welcome. We're going to start at the very base for people like me who clearly don't know that they know political satire. Let's pretend someone listening has never heard of it. How would you explain political satire?
Oh boy, that's one of those questions that like I've done it for so long that when somebody asks me for the definition, I'm like, oh no,
I'm too close to it.
What is it? I'm too
Catch the
close.
forest for the tree.
Oh,
do I
God.
do?
What do I do? Political satire is like the way I would describe it is you take an event or something or a concept and you twist it in a way that makes you laugh and also makes you think about it in a different way. Whether it's like hyperbolizing it or doing the opposite of it. It's basically just, you want to make somebody laugh and you want to make them go like, oh yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect definition. That's a great definition.
Well, you've written for the Beaverton, you know.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is as accurate as I could imagine. I even read like a literal definition, and that made more sense to me.
Thank
You
God.
freaking nailed it.
Thank God.
Because those
Tiny
are the
Claire
two,
couldn't do it.
The two objects. You're dunking on this.
Tiny Claire couldn't have done that.
Fuck you, Tiny Claire.
We wouldn't have even heard her. She couldn't reach
She's
the mic.
awful.
Regular size Claire forever. But yeah, I think that's a really eloquent way to put it because it hits the goals of satire, not just the methods. The goals being both to inform and to make you
Entertain.
laugh and make you think
Yes.
at the same time. And if you've only done one, maybe it's not as effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
What's your origin story? How did you start in on political satire?
Well,
as
I
a
was
fandom?
living in a volcano at the time.
Oh my God, Joe? From Joe and the Volcano? It's an 80s movie. It's the only volcano
Oh no!
thing I
I
could
was like,
think
oh
of.
no. I think I started as an actor, like a theater actor, and then I got frustrated with the theater scene. So I was like, cool, I'm going to go do Second City. And so I did the conservatory, and while I was doing that, I kind of got into comedy, and I knew a bunch of people who wrote for the Beaverton. Like I knew you, I knew John Blair, and I was like, how do I get in there? I have no idea. They seem so cool and elite, and like now, LOL. But and so
absolutely.
I had a friend who wrote for them. Who he wasn't a friend at the time, but he saw me in a couple things. I think the show Bike Face at the Fringe I was in, and I was like, hello, nice to meet you. Anyway, can I ask you to give some of my pitches to your editor? And then he did, and very kindly. And and so I got invited to the Toronto meeting just before it all broke up.
Oh my God.
Like just as the show was ending, and just as because there were two, I think, Toronto meetups that actually met in person, and
Yes,
I went
totally.
to the very last meeting of the Aaron Haggy McKay and
Jesus.
a couple other guys, and then I joined in 2018. It was one of the things I was happiest about in my entire life. I still have my first article framed on my wall.
Oh, that's so cool.
It meant a lot to me, y'all. I was
huge.
thrilled. And now I'm derp this into this organization. I love it so much. But my favorite thing is when I get people emailing me being like, hey, do you guys take interns? Can I swing by the office? And I'm like, oh no, I don't know how to tell you that we don't have any money.
We're in a post office world, baby.
Yeah. I did that, and I did and then I just started I started writing comedy a year before that, when I started, I did a short-lived travel comedy blog where I did, because I've done a lot of solo traveling, and so I decided to cut my comedy chops on doing kind of not quite satire, but just comedy articles about what to pack in your bag or rules of hostels and stuff like that. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but and then I've just been writing. And during the pandemic, I RIP old Twitter, but I came to be a part of a wonderful group of writers, comedians, mostly comedy writers, who we all would submit to McSweeney's all the time, and the Belladonna and all these comedy publications, and we would give each other notes on our pieces, and most of us had never met, but we were from all over the world, and we had a little group chat, and I miss that group. That was the best thing that came out of the pandemic, the Twitter kind of era for me. It's just finding a community of writers. I found a writing partner. We made it a sex satire website, LOL, and wrote a lot of that, and so it kind of experimented with different types of comedy writing from there, and most of it just tended to go political.
Yeah.
Because I just like yelling at politicians for
Yeah.
money. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I made a late night show because I went insane, alone in my apartment for 18 months, and I got it in my head that I should write, produce, create, do the sound for everything. and made it like a 13 episode first season of a late night show.
Which is incredible.
Oh, it was
so
very
impressive.
fun. It was very fun. I think I blacked out for a lot of that time period. But like,
How else do we
all
cope?
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I talked to a lot of wonderful people who were making a lot of difference in the community, and it was cool. So.
That's really neat.
Yeah, and then people kept being like, "You need to do it," and I'm like, "I have a job now. I was 40 hours a week of work.
I need to pay
Pay
rent.
me."
Please, somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. This doesn't come free.
Before you got into writing and comedy writing, were you very political? Like, were you very into political content?
I don't think I was. I mean, I wasn't. I've never been apolitical, but I don't. I mean, I don't think you can go through theater school and like be in the arts and not be a political person at your core, whether or not you know it. You can. You're just a shitty white dude generally.
Yeah. It's possible.
It's
but
definitely
your name is
possible.
Trevor.
Yeah.
You know, I loved all the Trevors out there.
Mark.
Yeah. Mark's
Yep.
Mark's whiter. That's right.
Yeah. Trevor. Yeah. So. I grew up in I also had a fairly liberal, like we're gonna say liberal, firmly liberal family.
Toronto Star subscribing.
Yeah.
Toronto Liberals.
Yeah, like doesn't understand some things, but like tries.
Yeah.
Most, tries.
Yeah.
It all takes us different times to get to different places, and
Absolutely.
I'm from a small town, so yeah. So like I definitely had biases and blind spots because of how I grew up in the area. I'm like from the most conservative part of Southern Ontario. Our MP is an insane woman named Leslie Lewis, who like wants Canada to leave the UN and just like she's nuts.
Oh, boy.
And I got really sad because Simcoe is extremely white and very conservative. Like I don't think I talked to a person of color until I left for school. Like I do not if I did, I do not remember.
Yeah.
And so like now it's a little bit better. Now I go home to Simcoe, I'm like, oh wow, there are like a couple people of color here. That's nice.
Yeah,
but
it's
like
changing for sure.
It is changing for sure, and it's lovely. But when I found out that my MP, who's an independent, she was a conservative, and then she left. She's like a doctor, like a black woman who's a doctor, and I was like, what am I missing? Because like that's way too progressive for Haldeman Norfolk, and it turns out she's fucking crazy.
Oh, I see.
Like really conservative crazy. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes
like
more
too
sense.
conservative for the conservative
Correct.
party.
Yes.
It was like, y'all aren't cutting it for me. Let's go.
Yes, basically.
Damn.
Yeah.
Shit.
I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. As much as I really wanted my my hometown to have made massive strides.
Nope.
Nope.
Too much to ask.
Yeah.
The fact that even they got that far, probably big.
Correct. Yes.
Like,
1,000%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't always like super political, but I always skewed certainly one way.
Yeah. Did you grow up watching like 22 Minutes?
I actually
or any Of those
didn't.
things?
I grew up watching Whose Line and Survivor.
Yes, I also did that.
Hell
yes.
yeah.
Whose Line rules?
Like my dad was the one who watched Jon Stewart religiously.
Okay.
And now I have thoughts about Jon Stewart. But like,
Can't wait.
Put a note about that.
oh no. Yeah, so he taught civics in high school and history, and so like I definitely got what political fire I have, probably from a lot of it from him.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
Amazing. What's the difference between high quality and low quality political satire for you? What qualities do you think make for really good satire?
I think you can just look at The Onion versus the Babylon Bee.
Ooh, what's a Babylon Bee?
Yeah.
Oh, the Babylon Bee is essentially the conservative Onion.
Oh,
They
I see.
have two jokes, and it's pronouns.
Yeah. Oh,
and
people love a pronoun
and I
joke.
identify as blankety blank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Occasionally, like once in a blue moon, they will make a solid point, and you're like,
Damn it.
damn it. All right.
The left is ridiculous. A lot. Like there's a lot to make fun of.
1,000%.
No
So
question.
much.
1,000%. And they do make fun of the left. Most of the time it's garbage. But sometimes they will even make a little thing about the right, and you're like, huh.
Oh, look at you.
Look at you.
You have more targets now.
yeah.
Good for you.
So back to your original question. Everybody go look at the Babylon Bee. That is an example of terrible bad satire.
But do it in
Come
incognito
at me,
mode.
Babylon Bee, Twitter. I think it's just, for me, it's always just been about who you're punching up at.
Yeah.
You don't punch down who you're punching up at. Like who are you targeting? Are they in power? How much power do they have over other people? And like, is your joke good?
Yeah. That makes a big difference.
Like, that's the thing. I don't mind some conservative satire as long as the joke is good, but they very rarely are.
Yeah.
Like,
why is that? Why is it that conservatives are worse at jokes?
okay, I think this is a whole thing, and I will plug, not that he needs plugging because he's way more well known than any of us at this table, but like there's a show called Some More News on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's hosted by Cody Johnson. He's an old crack.com guy.
Oh, cool.
And it's basically, the way I've described it is like John Oliver, but like twice as long and 10 times angrier. And it's not
What a good
sponsored by
sales pitch.
it's wonderful. He does all of so many topics, like
Some More News?
Some More News, yeah. And like the first video that I ever saw of his was, why is conservative comedy not very good? And so I would recommend that everybody go and watch that video, because that's going to be better at explaining it than I ever could be. But I think at its heart, it's just, and I have said these words before, and I will always say them, is satire. Good satire comes from truth. And a lot of the time, conservatives aren't good at that.
Yeah.
Especially like far right conservatives. They don't like truth. It doesn't make them look good. And you can't make a good joke about something that doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah. There has to be something in there that you're like, oh, that's very real.
Yeah, because otherwise you're making a joke in the ether that like, you can't skew something that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, that's kind of how I view why conservative comedy is not great, because you can have conservatives who are comics. There are a lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah. And they do well.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
They're fine. But that's just because their comedy is just, I'm a conservative and I do comedy.
Yes.
But like, and it's also just because for the most part, conservative comedy is just punching down at people. And you know, we can acknowledge the fact that there is a subset of people who probably do find this kind of comedy very funny.
Yeah.
You know, we can reserve judgment on those people because that would take a long time to yell about. But so I would say it's like, it's not funny to us. So it's then dissecting like, who are the people who find it funny and why do they find it funny? And generally it comes from a place of like ignorance and fear.
Yeah.
That brings me to a question that was from our Patreon, which is, you're talking about punching up. And a large rule of comedy is always to punch up. But to what extent do you feel that pertains? Is the current dominant force always up, or are both sides up for grabs?
Both sides, like punching up and punching down?
I think so.
I guess. Yeah. I think that's what he's getting at.
Or like
Or
both
like-
left and right.
Oh,
up for
well,
grabs.
yeah, you can make fun of anybody.
Yeah.
Like I don't like it when people are like, oh, you can't make fun of blankety blank. You can make fun of every single thing. It's just a question of, are you the right person to do it?
Yeah.
And do you do it with intelligence?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you informed? Are you making an informed decision? Are you making an informed joke? And also, there are just some jokes that maybe you shouldn't, like, maybe it's not your place to joke about. Like I've heard great trans jokes. I've heard
trans
great
jokes.
queer jokes. I've had great jokes about like women be dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Usually from trans people and women.
Sometimes women be dumb.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. The second I hear a man talking about how women be dumb, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Sometimes they manage to do it, and it's great, and I enjoy those comedians. But yeah, it's just everybody can be made fun of. The left is ridiculous. Ridiculous. We are absolutely make funnable.
There's
Yes.
so much fodder for you. You're picking the bad. Like, you're not even picking good things to make fun of us
the
for.
thing.
Totally,
Like
yeah.
paging Greg Gutfeld. I'm sure that like your show. Do you know Gutfeld?
No.
Oh, that's good. Gutfeld is like, he wants to be the Fox News Jon Stewart. He's you know what I mean. So he
God.
has a show called Gutfeld with an exclamation mark after it for some fucking reason.
Because.
Yes, yes, and so like I remember during the pandemic he put out a call for writers, and I really debated with myself. But I mean, I would have like burst into flames the second that I sent it, and it just would not. I would not have been able to be that insincere. But like, they're just all focusing on the wrong things when there's so much material in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think of what politics is, and I don't mean just like the governing of a country. I mean the politics as we see it and absorb it every day. It's so much theater. It's so much like contradiction. It's so much
Hypocrisy.
like, I mean, if you look at a show like Veep and all of like what we see versus what's actually going on back there, which I know is a fiction, but everybody agrees. Yeah, most politicians are like, no, that's it.
Wish it was clearer.
Yeah.
That it was further from the truth.
Yeah.
But it means that so much of the time people are doing these weird, inauthentic things that are so easy to make fun of, you know, because it's silly.
Yeah, like why make jokes about like I identify as a blank when you can just make jokes about how like we leftists exist within this god awful purity culture, or you know like all the others is right there.
Yeah.
We're all so busy worrying about who's the most moral.
Yeah.
Make fun of that. The morality wars is us against each other.
It's
1000%.
basically a bunch of vegans doing the Spider-Man pointing meme. That's what the left is. And see, that's a better joke than pronouns. Like, there's plenty to make fun of, and I think that like so much of this stuff is about on like truth and specificity.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like-
Specificity in comedy. I mean, like you guys know, anybody who's in comedy knows how important specificity is, and like I think somebody coined the term, and I don't know who it was, but I love the phrase comedy math. I stole it from Kirsten Rasmussen, but I don't know if they had got it from somebody else. But like the idea of comedy math and like how you write a headline and how you write comedy and where do you put the blow line and where do you put this word? Is this word funnier than this word? And maybe it is because it has one fewer syllable than this word. Because
Totally.
because I love that. I love it. It's so yummy, and like
It's so
I love
fun.
crafting that kind of stuff, which makes me. I've written for a couple publications, and they've been like, "Yeah, we're just gonna send it through an editor," and I'm like, "Cool," and then they'll send it back, and I'm like, "You fucked with my jokes.
Yeah.
You took away you put the punchline in the middle of the line. What are you doing?"
Yes. The word if that word doesn't come at the end of the sentence, it's not funny.
It's not funny anymore.
It's crazy how much I do that. Like just move one word over, and you're like, that's a joke.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Like people really underestimate that part.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Who are some of the biggest names of political satire, and who are your top 3 of the genre? Your top 3 goats, greatest of
Oh,
all times,
boy.
not literal.
Right.
Unless some of them are goats. I don't know. I'm missing that show.
Look, there's a lot of YouTube channels I don't follow, and I'm
I would
ready.
love for to have a political satire goat. I think that'd be great. I mean, like the greats. I mean, I think you have to put somebody like Jon Stewart on there.
yeah.
I think, again, my knowledge of political satire comes from kind of his era and up. So I feel like I'm gonna have people yelling at me, being like, "Yeah, it's like Second City," where you're like, "I think my favorite Second City person is this."
Yeah.
It's because that was the Second City I watched, and you know, like I love me some Bill
1000%.
Hader.
Yeah.
And like I'm sure that there were funnier people. I'm sorry. Oh God.
Yeah. This isn't representing everyone. It's
no.
your personal
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
of it. So
I mean, like John Oliver. I do love John Oliver.
Oh,
same.
comedy dad.
We're a fan.
Yeah, 1000%. My personal favorite, and I don't watch a lot of late night anymore because I kind of not got over it, but kind of got over it a little bit.
It's got rhythms, and once
It's
you
got
get
rhythms, and like really the genocide in Gaza kind of really turned me off of it in terms of you saw really who owned these people and what they were not willing to say and why. And I just was kind of like, this whole thing should be about telling the truth, and y'all are just ignoring it, and that makes me mad. So I'm going to stop watching it. So like I kind of stopped during that time
Y'all are just
period.
playing wall of impressions or wheel
Correct.
of impressions.
Like you're
Yeah.
all too scared, and you're all owned by banker daddies, and
Yeah.
like you, and so there's only so far you can push. Even you, John Oliver, bless your heart. I think you're great. Yeah. But I mean,
he pushed further than others.
he
which
absolutely
is still,
did. He absolutely did, and I love the fact that he has a team of lawyers who hate him.
hate him.
I
would hate to work
I love
for
it.
That job would be
yes.
the worst job in the world.
I was watching an interview with him today where he was talking about how him and his lawyers think they have different jobs. The lawyers think it's to avoid getting sued, and he thinks their job is when they get sued that they win. And I'm like, that says so much about your show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, please continue.
So I like that. I don't know. My favorite late night host was by far and away Seth Meyers.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't
Seth's
know
great.
if I would like classify him as political satire though necessarily.
Yeah,
I think there's the weird line of late night where it's just like some of it's political satire. Yes, he does some monologue jokes that can be political satire.
Yeah, like a closer look. I
Yeah,
think
for
is kind
sure,
of
for
there.
sure. He was always my favorite, but that's just because he wasn't afraid to get weird. And he went a little insane in the pandemic, and I cherished it very, very much. And I watched like 150 episodes of Corrections, and like it was my favorite thing, and it still is my favorite thing that late night has ever given me.
Yeah.
He thanks his writers a lot, and it seems like
Yes.
he and his writing team really genuinely like each other a lot, and I think that that's lovely.
I love that.
Talks to a lot of his crew too. Like I love how sometimes he'll call out the cue card guy. I'm just
All
like,
the time.
these like conversations you two have are great, and it's like you just get a sense they really all like working there.
Yeah.
More so than other shows.
Yes, God, I love Wally. Wally followed me on Twitter once, and I was like, "What the fuck? You don't know who I am. What is happening?"
Maybe he does.
No, I don't know. I don't think he does.
What if
I
he
don't know.
does?
He followed you.
Yeah, it was a good day. I didn't say anything, but I was just like, Wally. Yeah. So he was like, I guess I twisted your question in terms of like who are my 3 favorite political satirists, and I just am like late night.
Well,
But yeah.
I mean, I think that there are a lot of the people that are out doing it that people would recognize easily, and have heard the names easily.
Yeah, it's like the most accessible version of political satire,
Yeah.
I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what do you want to say about Jon Stewart?
I just think Jon Stewart was very much a product of his era, and he always kind of was like, he was liberal, you know?
Yeah.
He wasn't, and he's kind of stuck in that where he used to be. And I always kind of, looking back in his older stuff with Colbert, bless Colbert, but it reeks a little bit of like, calm down, libs.
Yeah.
That's and I don't know. Even
Now it
when
doesn't feel like the time for that.
no, it doesn't. And it was always like, yes, you can make fun of both sides, but also read the room. And when a huge part of the population is genuinely concerned about things, the answer is not to be like, like, let's make a joke about how people are scared.
Yeah.
You know, and he does that. He does that, and he's always kind of done that. And it was around the time that, like, I think when Trump got elected for the second time, and he very much, there was a lot of talk going on about, like, Trump is a fascist. And I think it is important to not label a fascist, do not throw that word around lightly. I do. I don't think it's helpful a lot of the time. I don't think being like, this person's Hitler, it often does not help.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where, like, everybody in their aunt could see what Trump was going to do. And he was saying it. You know what I mean? They'd already put out Project 2025.
Yeah.
Like, they were already talking about this. They've been talking about this for months or years. And he came out and was just like, guys, stop calling him fascist. He's not fascist. He did a whole, like, finger shaking thing about, like, blah, 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 blah. And then he had to walk it back because enough people yelled at him. And then, like, a couple weeks later, he was like, yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah,
And you're
he
like,
like
yeah, man,
objectively
you
ticks
you
the
fucking
boxes.
were.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit of a. Sometimes he gets a little centristy for me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just I used to like. I respect what he's done for the genre, I guess, and I respect the fact that he has promoted a lot of really smart comedians.
Yeah.
But sometimes I find him a little tiring, and I think there are people on The Daily Show who I love more than him, and I will always watch them.
Yeah.
So, like, shout out to Josh Johnson.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. It's one of those, like, you got to be really, really on the pulse with this kind of thing.
Yep.
And, like, if
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I think if you guys kind of have your time where you are on the pulse and then you go away for a while and come back, that's tough because you're operating, you have a different operating system for a world that you're not currently.
Yeah, that's a solid way of putting it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's still doing Bush era style.
Yes.
And the circumstances have just changed so dramatically.
1,000%. And you
know?
can tell, like, and once you get to a level of fame that he has, you can tell that he's doing the same deliveries. He's doing the same shtick. He's doing all of that because he knows that people will eat it up.
Yeah.
But also it reads differently from 20 years ago when you weren't a super rich, influential
1,000%.
white guy.
That makes a difference. Like, I remember when Tina Fey did her sheet cake thing. I forget what it was. She did a monologue, I think, on Weekend Update about how instead of protesting Nazis, we should all just go home, get some cake, and eat it, so we don't give them attention. And a lot of people were like, Hey,
that's a little tone deaf right now.
I'm going to go ahead and say, no,
Yeah.
that's not right, because you live in a penthouse in New York.
Correct.
And some of us are getting our asses kicked.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
And I think one of those moments where I was like, oh, yeah, there's a certain level of success you get to where you just don't have the authority to talk about some of this stuff.
Yep. And there's always levels of that, right? Like I have that level within me where I've had to check myself sometimes to be, people will be stressing about things and my instinct is to be like, guys, it's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine.
Yeah.
It's not fine because it's fine for me because I'm a middle class cis white lady. Like it might not be fine for them.
Yeah.
And you have to, because I mean that's just privilege and just being aware of it.
Yeah.
So
totally. Do you find that you think about that a lot when you're writing? Like what perspective can I speak to best? Or
1,000%. Like there's stuff that I don't joke about because I'm like, I'm not the best person to do this. I can't make as nuanced a joke as I would like to do. I can't make as smart a joke. I can try. I can probably put out something that's okay. But I remember like even when I was making my late night show, every episode I would do like a closer look, kind of like John Oliver type thing on a specific issue. Yep. And there would just be some things that it was because it was me. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do, because it was COVID. I was like, I'm not going to do a piece about like anti-Asian hate. I could probably do it.
Yeah.
I could probably write it, but it wouldn't be as like, it would feel performative and I couldn't do it as well as other people could.
Yeah. Because
I can't pay writers to write it for me.
Yeah, right. You don't have a research team.
Yeah,
you don't have a whole team of people that can like contribute
me.
to this.
Yeah.
Which changes the game.
Yeah. Even like with Beaverton headlines, sometimes like I will pitch, or I will think about pitching things, and I'm just like, there's probably people in the Beaverton who could, I'm like, you take it.
Yeah.
Like you go.
Yeah.
This isn't for me.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
That leads into a question about, as someone who works for the Beaverton and writes satire and does a lot of your own content, what's the process of developing a bit or a character? Like, what are you thinking through as you're getting into your next headline or your next character?
What's funny? And that sounds so trite. But like, I think it's different for videos and headlines. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to like, what is the point of view of the piece? Is the point of view strong? What are the jokes? And who am I making fun of? And who can I prop up as well as making joke? Like who can I punch up at? Well, also who can I prop up in this piece?
Yeah. Who can get more power out of this?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah, they currently have in real life. Yeah.
I think those are two sides of the same coin. So I love playing Danielle Smith very, very much.
Premier of Alberta for any of our non-Canadians.
Premier of Alberta and just the worst lady.
Just what a nightmare.
What a nightmare of a
piece
woman.
of shit.
And so, I love playing her because she's clearly just so angry all the time. Mm-hmm. And so the things, it's just, what do you exaggerate? What do you overinflate? And who can you prop up that she normally shits on?
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a way to like turn the tables on this? Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah. As a Canadian satire writer, obviously the American political world it really overshadows us all of the time. How do
Bit of
you
a dog and pony show?
Yeah. How do you find the balance as a Canadian covering Canadian politics? How do you find a way to like break through the American noise?
It's tiring.
That's got to be the motto of the Canadian entertainment industry.
Yeah.
It's tiring.
Yeah. Because our politics they're just as dumb.
Yeah.
They're just less violent and like a little less crazy.
Yeah, less extreme.
Less extreme. Like we're not currently about to like bomb Iran. But
or take over Venezuela.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that like that we don't have a leader of the Conservative Party who goes on Twitter every day and like bitches about things that he absolutely would not fix if he were in power.
Not even a little
Or
bit.
and like wears too tight shirts and like cowboy hats that he will never ever wear again.
Also couldn't even win his own fucking seat.
Yeah. Had to, so he like I literally just wrote a pilot about that. But like he had to campaign in the easiest the easiest riding in like Canada.
Yeah, they gave him a softball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I mean,
Imagine the Liberals did that. They'd be burned at the stake.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
like we have politicians who do their little scandals. We have politicians who are actively persecuting trans people and like banning books. We do all of the things. It's just unfortunately we got cult of personality o'clock down there, and that's way too. Yeah, you're right. It overshadows like one of the reasons that I've been told that Canada doesn't have a late night show is just because it's just like we cannot compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because we have so much potential for comedy. Like Christia Freeland's right there.
Oh my God. She's right around the corner from
Yes,
us.
right there.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think I think in pure Canadian form we don't believe in ourselves enough.
Yeah, I really hope to see that changing with the states. The one upside to the states' decline, I suppose, is just a little bit more Canadian identity to some degree, in that we care about our politics because we want to differentiate ourselves from the states. I hope.
I hope so.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I'm having a moment of just real sad, which is, I'm going to go into this question. When you're doing satire, how do you not be depressed all the time? Because the past 12 months have been really friggin' horrendous. And how do you keep hopeful when you're having to stay so on top of the political climate and so on top of what's going on in the news?
I assume you have to watch a lot of news.
Yes.
And take a lot of
I'm
news
very
in.
tired all the time. My brain is either politics or Blue Jays off season, and that's it. That's all I got.
We don't have spring training for another month.
Oh my God!
Oh, I'm excited.
It's the dark
Red Sox
era.
just signed Suarez.
And I'm still stressed about Bo. Anyway.
Yes, and Tucker. We're gonna find out this week. I swear.
I'm
We're gonna find out this week.
so stressed about
I'm
it.
calling it. But I think it's just like make jokes or cry. Which one do you want to do? And I also acknowledge the fact that I'm coming from a place of privilege where I am not currently affected by a lot of the stuff that is happening. I will eventually because it's a tier. Like they all know the tier that they go up as they're trying to drag people down into their slimy little pits. But like, I think I am lucky enough and privileged enough to be able to maintain not like an air of kind of above it, but just being like, I can make jokes because it doesn't currently hurt me to do so as much as it would somebody who is actively being hurt by it.
Yeah.
And more than just, my rent is high.
Yeah.
Because, do I cry? Like, did I cry the other day looking up apartment rentals and realizing that I can never leave my apartment? Yes, I did.
Oh,
Reasonable.
Yes,
that's
I did.
real. That's
Reasonable.
real.
Yeah.
But like, so I think I am lucky to be able to do so and have the supports to be able to do so and stay sane for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like, I mean, humor is such a coping mechanism.
Oh, 1,000% it is. My God.
The most
know?
depressed, tumultuous people that you'll ever meet are comedians. They've
Yes.
gone through some shit.
You will never hear a single genuine word that comes out of their mouths. Their therapists are making so much money
Oh my God.
and getting nowhere.
Mostly to hear them do bits.
Yes, correct.
But what if I'm the funniest patient my therapist has?
Yeah.
I'm
Then
winning.
I win. I want therapy.
Yeah.
Someone call the Canada Council for the Arts.
Get me a grant for this, please. We'll take it on the road.
Yeah, that's all very true. It feels like you're totally right. If you're gonna do something, you might as well laugh.
You might as well laugh. And also, I would rather do something and maybe affect change in my own little way and feel good about that than be ignorant. And that would hurt me more than knowing too much. And I have the great luck of like having enough of a following where I will have people emailing me or messaging me being like, hey, you wrote this article and it made my day and it made my day better and it made me laugh. And I'm like, great. That's literally all I can ask for. I'm a political satirist. I'm not sitting here being like, I am changing the world with my art. I'm not. I have a lot of feelings about whether satire is actually like how effective it is. Is it effective? Is it as useful as, blankety blank and very the New Yorker,
But those comics.
the comics,
Hard hitting.
exactly. So sometimes I think at the end of the day, as a political satirist, if I have just made somebody's day a little bit brighter and I've made them laugh, that is literally all I could ever ask for. That is all I deserve, and that is like, that's the end goal. Because otherwise, what am I doing? I might as well just become a journalist.
Yeah.
And I don't have the spine.
Yeah, that takes
I don't
a
have the
level
spine
of
for a journalist.
Those are brave,
Yes.
smart people.
Yes, they are.
And bless them, we need them.
Yep.
Well, that does bring me to the question of, what do you think? Like, what do you think the impact of satire is? Like, you have a lot of feelings on it. I'd love to know.
I think, oh boy, it's a multi-headed hydra of a question, and I don't think there's an easy answer. I think satirists, the higher up they go, they can think that they're more important than they are. I think it is important. I think there are some people are going to learn more if you make them laugh about it than if you go, hey, read this like 3,000 word article like in the Washington Post about the intricacies of Trump's war in Venezuela. They're not going to do that.
No.
They're not.
They have work in the morning.
They have work in the morning. They have kids. They have the rent. They have, And so, or you can be like, here's a 300 word Beaverton article that addresses like one little thing about it. And you go, oh, I didn't realize that specific thing. And also it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Great.
And then also if it piques something in you, you can follow that rabbit hole yourself.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And you're already through the door.
1,000%. So I think, and even more so in film and TV, and I'm terrible at coming up with examples, and whenever somebody's like, what's your favorite piece of satire in film and TV? I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen anything in my entire life. I have no idea.
I've never heard of political satire.
But I think people don't realize just how much of it there is in their favorite movies and TV and how that they're influenced by it, whether they know it or not. Don't ask me for examples.
Well, even when you go back and watch old stuff that you like watched as a kid and you rewatch and you're like, holy
like
shit.
Blazing Saddles.
This is the second time Blazing Saddles has come up today. I've never seen it. We have to watch it.
You have to watch
it's
it.
It's literally come up twice today.
It's one of
Okay,
those
we gotta
movies,
watch it.
It's one of those movies that like people are like, it can't get made nowadays because it has white people being super racist. That's the point.
That's the
That's
point.
the whole point.
Tropic Thunder. One of my favorite, it might be my favorite comedy movie of all time.
Yeah.
And it's always white people, as far as I know, but they get really uppity about Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface, like people using the R word, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's the point of the movie. They're bad people.
Yeah.
It's a satire of the film industry. I love Tropic. I've watched Tropic Thunder more than I've watched any movie ever. And so like that's a perfect example of like that is a satire.
Yeah. And it's not like there isn't a black person in the scene that is
Correct.
commenting on it actively.
Exactly. If there wasn't another black person in the movie,
Then bad.
that would have been different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is.
Yeah.
It's
And
such
they
a-
get to have the last word on it.
Correct.
It's such an interesting point about kind of the time and era that we live in, that we're so afraid in comedy to have bad guys
Or
that
in
are like
everything.
In
We're
everything.
afraid
like-
to make mistakes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you play the person that we all know is bad, if you are doing bad things, people are like, I'm going to get canceled for being Robert Downey Jr. in blackface in this movie.
Yep.
It happens so much in live comedy as well. Like everyone wants to be the nice, politically correct person in every show, in every scene, in every sketch. But you don't get movement without having an Archie Bunker where you're like, this guy's a fucking asshole in All of the Family.
Also a lot of political satire in
A
that
lot
show.
of political satire, but you need that juxtaposition to be able to show everyone that this is not the world we want to live in.
Yeah.
Like we have to point it out. It exists, and we can't put the onus on marginalized people who are being hurt by it to be the ones to make it all the time. That's very tiring.
Oh, yes, please.
It's a lot to carry on your shoulders.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So like, so I think that's my answer. Is just like political satire is way more ingrained in the media than people think, and I think it seeps into your brain and gives you things to think about whether or not you know it. And then you have fucking Adam McKay, and then that's a whole other thing. But like, then there's satire that's bad, in my opinion.
Go on, say more.
I mean, I just remember watching Don't Look Up,
Oh, yeah.
and I hated it.
Yeah, that one didn't work for me
What's
either.
Don't Look Up? Remind me.
It's the one where like the world is ending. Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence. The world is ending.
Oh, I didn't watch
It's an
it.
asteroid coming,
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's
Yeah.
like it basically satirized how
Trump
bad we
administration.
would all be in a disaster, and the Trump administration.
Yeah, it's
and
Meryl
the
Streep playing
incompetence.
Trump, and it was just, it's the word, like, oh, I hated it so much. And everyone was like, this is satire at its finest. This is so good. And I'm like, this is awful. You're not commenting on anything. You're just going going, wouldn't it be funny if we took these people and like made them 110% of themselves instead of 100?
And that's
and
not
isn't
it.
that funny? And you're like, no, you're not. It's so easy. What they did. Anyway, I yelled a lot about Don't Look Up when it first came out.
Good.
But like,
Yeah.
it's just,
They should know they're bad.
it was just not smart. It was
Yeah.
easy satire. And I don't have a lot of time for that because I'm like, you got so much money for that.
You had Meryl fucking
You had
Streep.
Meryl fucking Streep, and you're telling me that that's what you gave her?
Yeah. And it's like this. What point are you making here? And
Yeah.
also, this character
Like,
wouldn't
Trump
be her.
bad. Trump
yeah.
bad. Good. Cool.
Yeah, nailed
What
it,
now?
guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
nuance.
Roasted. Absolutely roasted.
A lot of people talk about how, Donald Trump must be so great for comedy writers. But, it's first of all, it's too real. But lots of comedy writers have a different opinion, obviously. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think the best way to say that is like when Donald Trump got reelected, pretty much from what I read across the board, all the late night writers were like, for fuck's sake.
Please no.
We are so tired
Yeah.
of writing about this guy because you have to.
You have to.
Late night is about what's going on right now.
Yep.
You have to talk about him. And like, I don't want to hear another Donald Trump tiny hands orange face joke.
No.
It's boring.
I actually
It just-
stopped watching Colbert for that reason.
Yeah, 1,000%. I stopped watching Colbert when he came back from the pandemic, and it just got annoying. But like, yeah, I just they're just boring. They're boring. The bad far outweighs the good in terms of like what we get from them as satirical objects to milk for people's entertainment.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that like we can find stuff to satirize.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump weren't president.
Yeah.
Politician's gonna politician, and they always will, and they always have.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's just maybe fewer people would die.
Yeah, I think there's this weird idea that comedians have an easier job in the exact inverse of how bad things are, and it's like
Yeah.
no.
When
It's
Obama
actually
was
harder.
president, there was still lots
Plenty
of
to
political
talk about.
satire.
Yeah.
Plenty
It
to
didn't
talk about.
die for those
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we can make fun of Carney. There's a lot of ways we can make fun of Carney, and also like I wouldn't mind for a little while having politicians that I don't think about all the time.
Wouldn't that be so fucking lovely to be back in a time where we weren't so worried about the personality of our comedians, or not comedians, politicians. Just be good at your job.
That's
Just
the thing.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't want the cult of personality. I don't want to know about you other than you are doing your job and the job that people elected you for. And
Yeah.
other than that, go away.
Go away.
Do your jobs.
job. No, I don't trust most of them to do their jobs, which is why you got to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Carney. But like,
But he built some Lego.
But he managed a lot of banks.
He went to the Danish and said, "We built Lego together.
Yeah.
We're building bridges
There we
of
go.
Lego."
God.
That
Yeah.
was
I saw
this
the
morning.
picture today and I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah.
Venezuela's being invaded.
This is insane.
Why are
so
you
great, you
posing
made
with
a
Lego
boat.
set?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh,
This is why. This is my hot take about politics. You shouldn't like any of them.
No.
It doesn't matter which one you're closest to.
Oh my God.
You shouldn't like politicians.
You shouldn't have a favorite politician.
shouldn't have
They're
a
not Pokemon.
This is
like
yes. It's not sports.
no.
Yeah.
You
No.
don't need to be loyal to one of them.
No.
You just pick the one that's the closest.
Yeah,
The closest aligned to what you're
yes.
looking for in the world.
They're never going to be perfect, and also they work for you.
Yes. Absolutely.
People forget that, and they try to make it so that we forget it.
Yeah, totally. And you don't have to be cruel to them, but don't like them.
No.
Don't be like, "Oh, I like that guy. I like his vibe." Don't like his vibe.
No, they're
Don't
already
do
getting
it.
paid enough.
Yeah.
They're fine.
They don't need your fandom.
No, they do not.
Absolutely not.
Does this kind of comedy come with legal challenges?
I don't know.
Oh.
I assume yes. Luckily, the Beaverton, I don't have to deal with that.
Fucking bless.
The guy who runs the Beaverton is a lawyer. So
Hell
like,
yeah.
luckily,
Bless.
like people, shout out to Luke. He's a lawyer, and so sometimes people will threaten to sue them, and he's just like, do it.
Please.
Please.
I beg
I
you.
welcome
Do it.
you.
I'll see you in court.
Yeah. I'm already there. I'm a lawyer.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meet me at work.
Exactly. So like there are, I'm not super up on the intricacies of Canadian parody satire laws. They exist. Like 22 Minutes exists. So you can't, there's like slander, which is different. Like I think we have had to take articles down on the Beaverton before.
Interesting.
I think because people got mad in a way that we're just like, just take it down. It's going to be a problem. Like
Not
just,
worth it.
Yeah. I think I think it has to be like clear that you're satirizing people.
Yeah.
You can't just come out. The Beaverton would never come out and just be like Doug Ford. Oh God, no, that's awful. I'm not even going to go there.
Oh.
But like it was, but like something terrible that's not a joke,
Right. Yeah.
or isn't satire, or isn't strong enough. You can't just be like Doug Ford killed a puppy. You're like that doesn't.
That's
Yeah,
That's
like
not
what?
fun. What?
Yeah.
What is that?
Or like yeah. So I'm sure that there are laws dictating what you can and cannot do, and occasionally I will hesitate before I make a video or tweet something because I'm like, can somebody get me for like slander on this? I don't know if they get too mad. Sometimes I will post things on Blue Sky and then I'd just be like, am I willing to get sued over this? Nope.
Yeah.
Jillian.
Yeah.
I
So there's an
probably
element
can.
of it.
There is.
Yeah.
I probably can't, but it's just not worth. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have lots of money.
And lawyers.
Yes.
Many lawyers. They
Yes.
will see you in
Yes.
court.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, how do you determine where to draw the line on jokes before it's like slander or bullying? Like, is it about a person's inherent things that they cannot change about themselves? Is it about?
Yeah, I think that's personal to everybody. Like, I generally don't tend to go into things that they cannot change.
Yeah.
Right. Physical elements, stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is just like kind of cheap.
Yeah.
And,
If you're a bigot, guess what? You could change that.
1,000%. Like, have I made blank looks like blank before? Yes, but I generally try to keep it like light and funny as opposed to like, haha, aren't they fat? Let's compare them to another fat thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I find those jokes tend to work the best when the personality matches the same.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's like this isn't like your physical appearance. It's the way you hold yourself because it reminds me of blank.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think, I mean, it's different for everybody, and I think it's just like what's your own personal morality? Where's your line?
Yeah.
What are you comfortable? I kind of always just go like, what am I comfortable being challenged on? And like everything that I post, I want to stand behind 100%.
Yeah.
It's so if somebody says I'm offended by that, I can be like, cool. Like I still stand by it.
Yeah.
I've thought this through. I give it a lot of thought. And it's just like, don't be a dick. Like, or be a dick to people who deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who have more power and money than you, who are actively being shitty.
And elected to do this job.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also don't make fun of them when they do good things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Generally.
Yeah.
Like if Doug Ford does something good, there could be a joke and like, finally, he did something good. But it's also just like, there are other things that we could be making fun of. Like, and like the fact that he did this one good thing, like, great, cool.
Let him have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So whenever I make fun of, whenever I get angry at politicians and say things like, you know, we should be calling them out for doing shitty things, people will jump to be like, and we should be applauding them when they do good things. And I'm like, nah, it's too far.
No.
Yeah, I don't
That's
get
their
applause when
job.
I do my job.
Correct. That's their job.
Totally. Yeah.
So like, no, I'm not going to pat them on the back for doing their job.
Absolutely. If they go above and beyond, do something
Sure.
amazing, save a puppy, then I'll give them some applause.
Love that.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
I will post that picture multiple times of you saving a puppy, even if you're a person that's not. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Like if Doug Ford gets out there and fixes the gardener himself, then maybe I'll give him
friggin'
some
bless.
applause.
Absolutely.
You know?
I'm still not going to vote for him.
No,
Hell
absolutely
no.
not. Not a chance in hell.
No, not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
But like, you know, he is occasionally like during this whole Donald Trump era, he's come out and just been like, fuck that guy. Nope, we're not dealing with that. And I'm like, cool, man.
Thanks.
I wish that like I don't know if it's coming from a genuine place, but I think it's what needs to be said right
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
And so I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Still never gonna vote for you.
Yeah.
But like, good. Say the thing.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah. And I don't. Yeah. I can like one thing and not like everything. That's not
What?
how
No,
this
unacceptable.
works.
Unacceptable.
There is no nuance, Kaya.
Spider-Man pointing. On that, I feel like the one last thing that it needs to be asked or at least discussed when it comes to political satire is the inability to tell the difference between real news and fake news.
I thought the Beaverton was satire.
That's it. That's what because that is one of the most posted comments about the Beaverton,
It is.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I literally had I wrote an article the other day that so many people thought was real. And I'm like, but did I fuck up? Did I not go hard enough? And it was like, I don't know if you saw the thing with the Toronto Sun writer, Brian Passafume. Good. So it was awful. It was about the shooting of Renee Nicole Smith.
Oh, fuck.
Renee Nicole Green in the States. And this just shithead writer from the Toronto Sun, who's also the Ottawa bureau chief of the Toronto Sun, so like big head honcho guy, tweeted and then deleted, basically saying well, a member of the left caught some bullets and it was deserved, haha. Like that was
fuck.
like, it was, yes, really bad, deleted it. Oh God, what was the question? Oh no.
The differentiation between when people can't tell it's satire.
Right. And so
Yeah.
and a lot of people wrote the editor-in-chief of the Toronto Sun, myself included, and there was quite a large backlash, and I wrote an article for the Beaverton that was like basically just saying that the comeuppance for this was that Toronto Sun promotes him to CEO.
Hilarious.
And there was a lot of people who were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that!" And I'm sitting there being like, "Yeah, I can." I mean, like, yes, it's satire, but also, ooh, could it happen? We don't, maybe. Yeah. And I think, the trick about satire is just, it feels like every year you have to go bigger and you have to go crazier. And the example I always use is, I think it was last year. I have to get a more recent example, but like it was, for those who don't know, Ontario is currently going through a healthcare crisis where there's not enough hospitals, there's not enough beds, there's not enough doctors, nobody has healthcare, like blah, blah, blah. Very lucky to have the healthcare that we have, but it's fucked, and Doug Ford is the reason that it's fucked primarily. And I think last year, like he opened a vet clinic and like stood in the vet clinic and was like, well, if hospitals need an overflow, we can just treat the people here.
No.
And I just remember just being like, we would have made that joke. Like as a joke, like as a piece of satire, like 3 years ago.
So
and
you
now
have to outdo it.
We
now.
have to outdo that shit.
It's literally making your jobs harder.
Yes.
Duh.
Yeah, it's so weird when it happens when people think that something's real. Like the one time it's ever happened to me is when Kathleen Wynne got voted out in favor of Doug Ford.
Yeah, right.
And I wrote one like opinion article that was by her.
Right.
That was just titled "Good Fucking Luck, Ontario," and it just was her swearing at Ontario for. And so many people thought it was real.
We're like, good
so
for her.
many people.
Awesome.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Awesome.
I mean, she's gone. She was out of the political sphere.
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess it's fine, but no.
But also, there's this. I mean, we all know about this Beaverton writer and podcast member Ian McIntyre.
Oh, sweet. Oh my God! Right?
Oh my God! The perfect
Recently,
example.
an article was posted in Time magazine that cited some study, and they pulled a quote from the Beaverton and put it up in this article as truth.
It was about the U.S. ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, who's a piece of shit, and like he was like swearing at all of the people. He was like calling Canadians nasty, etc., just being a real dick. And Ian like wrote an article about how like basically they were going to send like Patriot missiles to Parliament. Like how Pete Hoekstra had said that, like, wow, wouldn't it be a shame if this happened? And like, Times quoted it as a thing that like they had thought about doing, and months later people noticed, and like the Canadian government had to issue a statement being like, no, they didn't actually say that. Like the Canada embassy or something like that had to step in and like make a correction.
Because I know Ian was on, what was it, CNN?
Yeah, Ian and I went in a couple places. Like it blew up, and he went in a bunch, and then I got contacted because
Oh
people
my
know
God.
me. Yeah. It was a lot.
It's so trippy.
Yeah.
It's not good.
We live in a weird timeline.
We
weird.
do, and
It's
I
weird.
do think a good satire will make you go, "This could be real,"
Yeah.
and then you go, "Oh no."
How do we stop it from being real?
Yes.
True. Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's a tough line to straddle because you don't. Sometimes there is comedy and just being like, I think I wrote a piece once that was like, it was an opinion, like an editorial piece, and it was just like, I saw Trudeau in his Belleville visit, and I personally saw him eat 6 babies or something like that. There's that. But then I think the really, really smart satire, that's not smart satire. That's just me wanting to write an article about Trudeau eating babies.
And hilarious.
Yeah, thank you. But like really good satire will make you go, I don't think this is true, but it could be, oh no. I should probably learn more about that.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's the step that seems to be missing for a lot of people is like, hey, this alerted something in my brain. Before I comment on the internet about it, maybe I should look into it.
Media literacy is not at an all-time high right now.
No, not really. And I think like it even happens to smart people, I think, because we move so fast.
1,000%.
We're on the internet, shit goes past you so fast, and we are not practicing the muscle of stopping and going, let me read the whole article.
Yep.
Yeah,
I have absolutely been guilty of like,
Totally.
posting, sharing something, and then just being like, whoops, never mind.
Delete.
I'm not even sure a lot of people know the Beaverton is headlines are attached to articles.
No, I don't think they do. No. People on Blue Sky, if you see a Beaverton article, click the link. It gives us money and helps us.
Please click the links.
Click, like, you know what? Leave, go back multiple times. Open a different browser. Go
Absolutely.
incognito. Click it again.
If you're feeling spicy, read it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
guarantee you, there are going to be good jokes in there.
Some good shit.
Imagine.
And then you'll know whether it's news because it's usually pretty evident by the end.
Yeah.
You know? So just read it. Just read it.
Are there any other satirists that you want to shout out? Because you already mentioned Cody Johnston.
Cody Johnson, he's great. He's great. I highly recommend watching his stuff. Maybe not satirist. I like. There's a YouTube personality that I like. His and I find him useful for my work. His name, it goes by Legal Eagle. He's fairly well known.
I know that guy.
I can't remember his actual name, but like I like him a lot because he's a lawyer from DC. He's obviously left wing, but I find him very, very useful in terms of. He's not going to bullshit you. Like, this is his job. He's a lawyer. And so he'll be like, hey, this thing that everybody on the left is really upset about, like this decision or this court case or like that kind of thing. I understand that you're mad that it went this way. Here is why, according to the law, it had to go that way.
Right. That's cool.
And I do enjoy that because as much as I get angry about things, it is good to know that, like, there are legal processes, I don't have to agree with them, but it's not just like things, for the most part, are being like decided willy-nilly.
Yeah.
It's like there are intricacies to the system. And I find that like, I like, and, you know, of course, then he also does things like Lawyer Reacts, and I don't watch those. But
They do well on
he's-
YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's expanding his thing. He's got a lot of different people, and they're basically just every single thing that's happening in politics today, they are covering. And I highly recommend checking them out because it's informative and eye-opening, and like also it's fun. Like they come at it with a fairly solid sense of humor. So
Cool.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
I probably know the answer to this, but what's the nerdiest thing you've done or had happen in relation to this fandom, your fandom of political satire?
Oh boy.
I mean, I think writing and being on a podcast for it is pretty.
Yeah, I mean, nerdy. I don't know. I got like, the day after the election, I stayed up way too late. Maybe it's all in there, but like a bunch of us, like it was myself, Rachel Gilmore, Steve Boots, the Surfs, like we all were on a channel watching the election together and like doing like a live stream essentially. And we all stayed up way too late because we were like, we have to figure out if Pierre loses his riding. And it wasn't until like 2 or 3 in the morning. We'd all been having drinks. And then I had to get up at like 5 a.m. to go on the fucking agenda with Steve Paikin.
Oh my God.
And so we were all exhausted. It was like me and Luke and just, yeah, so like that kind of thing where I had to go on national television and I was slightly hungover and I was so tired because I had to find out whether Pierre lost his riding because this is very important.
It was important.
It was important.
And then I think we broke Steve Paikin's brain a little bit by like every time he played this fun gotcha game of like, of like his little centrist gotcha game, which
Sure.
is, he'd be like, well, would you say that there's a party that you go after more than the other, expecting us to be like, oh, no, like, we blah, blah, blah. And we were just like, yes. And
It's
he's
the
like,
conservative
oh.
party.
Yes, it's a conservative party. And he's like, okay. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, so you would say that you skewer the conservatives a bit more? And we're like, yes.
Yes.
They deserve it.
Yes, Steve, we do. And I don't think he quite knew what to do with us. And I was quite pleased about that.
Yes,
Yeah, well, 'cause
delicious.
Here's the fun thing. You're not the news. You don't have to be unbiased. You can be biased as hell.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And we're biased. Like we go after everybody. It's literally just they give us more to work with. So like we're going to work with it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I've got a little mini game for you because
boy.
sometimes it can be hard to tell satire from the regular news, as we said, especially these days. So I'm going to read you a headline,
Okay.
and if you tell me if it's satire or sadly true.
Oh, good.
Okay, 8 U.S. states seek to outlaw chemtrails, even though they aren't real.
Oh, I'm going to say that's true.
That is true. That's The Guardian 2025.
Saskatchewan RCMP head to Frosh Party, bring chips, salsa.
False.
That is in fact Global News 2015.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dead serious.
2015. Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus.
White House insists ICE shooter has passed mandatory escalation training.
False.
That's false. That's the Beaverton 2026.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
Yeah, I was like, hey, wait a minute.
For a
know
second, I
this.
was like, wait, no.
Could be true.
All right. 3 men sentenced for $18 million in Quebec maple syrup heist.
Well, I know that there was a maple syrup heist, but I didn't know that they ever got. I'm going to say true.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if they'd ever find out who did it.
I think there's a whole fictional show about it.
There was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that
It was
Riverdale?
American made.
No, it wasn't.
They had a whole plot line about maple syrup,
and
though.
it was American made, and no Quebecers were in that room. I know
damn
that
it.
for a
Oh my
fact.
God. Vatican formally recognizes first Gen Z demon.
I want this to be true. But
I
I'm gonna
know,
say
right?
False.
It's false. That's from The Onion.
Oh, I love that.
But it,
so
but it
much.
could be true. Oh, but it could be true.
It's just a demon going.
That's more millennial. They're probably doing little finger hearts.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. Trump sues far-right Brazilian protesters for trademark infringement.
Like of what? Like of trademarking of like it was false.
That is the Beaverton 2023.
Okay.
Yep.
Canadian Winter Festival canceled because of snow.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
true. CTV News
That's
2019.
That's too dumb. It's got to be true.
That's just Canada, baby.
That's just Canada, baby.
Following thunder snowstorm, Toronto calls an army just in case.
I think that's the Beaverton.
That is the Beaverton.
2023. Yep.
Bichette gets bizarre offer of free Viagra from PETA to stay with the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's false. He was given free steak at Animal for Life.
Oh, I saw it was a headline that I got from BlogTO
Oh, wait,
yesterday.
really?
Yeah. PETA.
Viagra from PETA?
I don't understand why.
Everything confusing.
Everything
Everything about it is
confusing.
confusing.
That's a real truth.
I have to look that up. That's fascinating.
Yeah,
truth.
right.
Also,
it came in
it's
as-
fucking weird. We're too in this.
We're too
Yeah.
thirsty,
Calm
guys.
down, yeah.
Calm the
Play
fuck
it
down.
cool or Bo's gonna get weirded
Yeah,
out.
man. Who's the raptor that we lost because everyone got weird?
Fucking
Kawhi?
Kawhi.
No, Kawhi never intended to stay in.
No.
He said it from the beginning. He's like,
His
I'm not
family
staying
was
here.
at home.
I
Yeah.
know, but just like be careful,
I know.
guys.
I know.
Okay, Ontario NDP leader ejected from question period after incorrectly labeling Ford government as corrupt, not evil.
Oh, I wrote that.
Yeah,
You did write that. that last one was a
One of yours in there.
gimme.
Imagine if you're like, true?
True. Oh shit. Before we wrap, any last things you want to get into the world about your
takes.
love of political satire? Anything else you're like, I wish I said this.
Oh, no, engage with it. Follow the Beavertons, support us. And I would just like Google political satire, film and TV to see how much of the content that you consume is actually satire and you didn't know it. And also like maybe pay a little bit more attention to politics than if you don't. If you don't right now.
Yes. Shit's happening fast.
Now's the time.
Now is
if
the
you're,
time.
If you aren't political, I know it's tiring, but now,
Yes,
now, do
especially
it now.
if you were like a straight white person with the resources to fight.
use that money for good. Use that time for good.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at the end of every episode, we like to share our micro fandoms of the week, which we will do in just a minute. But before we do, here's some other ways you can connect with us. This show's always going to be free, but if you're like, yo, I got some money and I already spent it on political satire promotion, but I just got a little extra. I got to give it somewhere. Give it to us. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/The Fandom Show, where you get episodes early and ad-free. You can submit questions. We have a nerds letter every single episode that talks about the stuff that happens that we didn't cover on the episode, stuff that we didn't get to go deep enough into, and just other fun facts about our topics. You can also listen to our exclusive patron podcast, The Fan Club, where we watch movies that one of us loves and the other has never seen. Also, go on social media at Fandom Show Pod on Instagram, or go to our website, thefandomshow.com.
Also, we have merch. Participate if you're going to participate in capitalism, do it the fun way. Woo! If you want to snag any exclusive Fandom Show merch, head to thefandomshow.dashery.com. Please also tell all of your nerdiest friends about us, or your regular friends. But if you can get on your podcast provider of choice, Apple Podcasts is great. Spotify is great. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, get on that and do a little rate, review, and subscribe, because you wouldn't believe how hard it is to promote a podcast that's about everything. So help us, please, because we don't have a niche.
We haven't helped
niche.
ourselves.
The whole niche is no niche. So, and that's not how algorithms work at all. So if you love the show and you want to see us grow, then please do that. Even a little rate, review, subscribe, a 1-sentence review. It really, really helps other people find this, and maybe they'll find their new best fandom, their new thing that they love, or they'll just love this, and that's great too. And you can also find us on the From Superheroes Discord, where you can meet other fans or hit us up directly. And now it is time for our micro fandoms of the week, starting with you, Steph. What are you loving this week?
Okay, so we did an episode about Twin Peaks a while ago with Becky Johnson, and that we admitted we had never seen Twin Peaks, and we kept being like, oh, we got to watch Twin Peaks. And then our friend said, do you want to start watching Twin Peaks together? And we said, yes. And so we finally have been watching Twin Peaks. We watch it every Sunday. It's become like pasta and peaks, where we eat some pasta, we watch Twin Peaks. This show, hot take, it's good.
Yeah.
Wild.
This is
Who
our
knew?
crazy perspective.
Calm down.
Buckle up.
But like, I feel like I had such a preconceived notion of what this show was, and it is that, but also in a way, like, I didn't think it was as funny as it was. I didn't think it was as interesting. I thought it was just weird, wacko, like, TV. And some of the episodes, the last one we watched was that, very bizarre, but it's incredible. It's so fun. It's such a time capsule. It's such a very specific little universe that they've created.
Yeah.
So yeah, hot take, listen to that episode and watch the show. It's great.
Yeah, that's our hot take.
That's my hot
Twin
take.
Peaks good.
Twin Peaks, that thing from the 80s.
Too hot for me.
Too hot. The hottest of takes here from Steph Malik. Kaya, what are you into?
Speaking of sort of like weird, absurdist things, I started playing the Stanley Parable recently. For those of you who aren't gamers and don't know this is a weird little indie game that is... I can't really describe it without ruining it, but essentially it is a game making fun of the ability to have free choice in games. It has a number of different endings. I've only played it for 4 hours, and I have already gotten several of them. I'm playing it with my friend Phil. It is very weird, but very, very meta and very funny. So like if you're a fan of Portal or games like that, where you have a relationship with like a disembodied voice and it's kind of meta, imagine that, but like take the puzzles out and the whole game's the puzzle. It is so good. If you enjoy this sort of like structural, weird, reflexive storytelling, I highly recommend it, and I'm not even done it yet. So yeah, please, please go play that. It is a really good time. Amazing. And what are you nerding out about this week, Claire?
What's getting you hyped?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm very boring. Not boring, but I feel like when I said before that my life is politics and the Blue Jays, that's pretty much it. So like, my life is following the current MLB offseason trades. Oh. And I never thought I would be this person.
It sneaks up on you.
I never thought I would. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, the Red Sox got Ranger Suarez. Fuck, no. And I care about these things now, apparently.
Did you know who that was a year ago?
I did.
You did.
I didn't know. I knew they were a person. I knew that they were a pitcher. Okay. I knew that they were like good, injury prone, but good. But now I'm like, now I'm so much more attuned to like frick, the AL East division is already the hardest division in baseball, and now they
Yeah.
got this guy, and it's because they lost Bregman, and oh no, like all this kind of stuff. So I am deep into it. You can't pull me out at this point.
Yeah.
I am so like string on a board.
Yeah, the
Oh,
red
yeah,
string.
String on a
Yeah.
corkboard about
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker. Today's drama was the fact that our outfielder Miles Straw posted a picture of a signed Kyle Tucker jersey, being like, does anybody know where to get this framed? And then he immediately deleted it. And so we're all just like, what does it mean?
Oh,
Does
God,
it mean
oh,
that like
God.
Tucker's signing? Because Tucker is a very good player that currently is the best free agent right now. And we think that we could get him, and it's between us, the Mets, and the Dodgers, and it would be really, really, really good for us.
The Dodgers need to fuck off.
The Dodgers need to fuck.
They had
their
already
enough.
had
way.
Otani.
They had
Fuck
enough.
off.
Oh,
They already have the fucking Terminator.
they've met with like the White House twice. They can go fuck themselves, same as the Yankees. But like, they can calm down.
Yeah.
Calm
They can
down.
calm
You're
down.
doing fine. Let us have some.
You're fine. So yeah. So I'm so deep into the Blue Jays fandom that I do not care to emerge.
No, why would you? Yes, why
and
would
I
you?
can
It's
talk.
good
I can
in there.
talk people's like when a while ago when you asked me like what could you talk about forever, I'm like I didn't think Blue Jays at the time, and now I'm like how much time you got?
Yes.
Let's talk about Chris Bassett coming as a reliever in the 8th inning of Game 7,
Oh my
baby.
God.
Holy shit, what
yeah,
a time.
Yeah.
What I think we should absolutely do that episode when the season comes back. And
I
we know
would
who's on
love
our team.
nothing more.
That sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
Because we're back on the baseball
We're
train.
back in,
Great.
baby.
We're not getting off this bandwagon.
No.
No.
No, it's not
No.
happening.
We love
We all
our
suffered
boys.
through 2024. If you suffer through 2024, you can survive anything.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah, man, we named our cat Ernie Clement.
and he's cute.
He is an
real
Ernie
cute.
Clement.
He's
We named our
real
other one
cute.
Hazel May. You know?
We're committed.
I will say one last thing about Hazel May. I love her and I want her job. And I think like my aunt texted me and she was like, "You should do Hazel May's job." Like, and I was like, "Oh well." I mean, she's got a lot of time left in her job, and she was
Yeah,
like,
and she does
for
her job.
now, ... And I was like, "Are you gonna kill Hazel May?
Okay,
so I can get her job?"
If she mysteriously drops dead,
We
it's
know
Aunt.
why.
We know who it
My
is.
aunt, yeah, trying to get me a job.
Oh my God.
Aunt, no.
Yeah.
Look, ants repping, you know? Ants are out there taking care of business.
Wild cards of every family.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you? What do you want to plug?
Oh yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on YouTube at It's Clare Blackwood. I made Partner last year. That sounds like a law firm, but so now when you watch my videos, I make a few cents.
Watch those videos.
And
yeah.
I also have a Patreon that I just started. It's called The Very Unfunny Leftist, and you can look up that, or you can. I think it's Clare Blackwood comedy or something like that.
Sick.
But yeah.
Amazing. And we'll link to all of that as well in the episode descriptions. Thank you so much for being here. And everyone, till next time, love the things you love and tell everyone about them. Bye.
We did it.
We did it!
The Phantom Show.